Welcome back for another episode of Branching Out with Sierra. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about communication, one of my favorite topics to talk about and one of the most common pain points that I hear in the organizations that I work with is communication. We're going to be speaking today with someone who is a communication professional, communication expert with over 20 years in broadcasting, now a public information officer, and the emcee and summit host for our upcoming Tri-State Leadership Summit. We have Lisa Herndon here today for this episode. And this episode is entitled Message Received, Communicating with Clarity, Calm, and Credibility. I'm here with Lisa Herndon. Thank you for coming today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. The calm part, maybe we don't always get that all the time. It depends on the event, but yeah, calm you gotta have.
I have been looking forward to this episode for a really long time on the schedule. I don't know if you noticed this, but it's the Lisa Herndon.
I did notice
today.
that.
I don't even know if Barry Lee got the Barry Lee.
Well, Barry Lee should have the Barry Lee. That's for sure.
He should. He should. I didn't do the calendar invite, so we blame Erica for that.
Always blame Erica.
But thank you for being here and being a part of the Tri-State Leadership Summit. For those that don't know you, from our listeners, can you give a little bit of your background and what even brought you into the world of communication?
Wow. Well, first of all, I studied broadcast journalism at American University, where I also played soccer. And I think for me, I was one of those people who knew what I wanted to do when I went to college. So huge sports family growing up, huge sports fan, loved it. I wanted to be the girl on the sideline doing the reporting in the football game. Now, this is many, many years ago, where before it was like the cool thing to have a girl being the sideline report. That's what I wanted to do. So I went to school and studied broadcast journalism. One of my hardest classes was sports journalism, taught by David Aldridge, who is a huge NBA analyst. Most difficult class I actually had. But then I got an internship in radio. Fell in love with radio. I'm like, well, this is not what I saw for me. But got an internship with a sports talk radio show and never left. And I never left the radio station until after I had kids, and then just never left radio. So I had an amazing career that started out as an intern phone screener to producing a nationally syndicated talk show where we would even travel across the country. We went to California. We went to Nevada. We broadcast from New York City every week for a long time. So we went all over Iceland. I got to go to Iceland.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah. So it's afforded me some really cool opportunities. I got to produce sports coverage. So the Washington Redskins at the time, we were the flagship station. So I got to do some sports producing. Later worked with the team in a freelance capacity, producing TV shows, like their lifestyle entertainment, like fun, where the players would come in and just casually chat about football and their lives and stuff. So it was a really great fit. And then I found my way, had kids, and stayed home for a little bit. Not what I'm cut out to do. I'm not cut out to not be working and not be busy. So I went back into radio at 92.5 Wink FM and eventually paired with Barry Lee for the morning show and had just the best time. And then it got to be a little much, waking up at 2 a.m.
I can imagine.
Yeah, 2 a.m. It's summertime. The kids are outside playing. You're going to sleep with a sleep mask on because you got to get up at 2. And sometimes my 4 alarms didn't wake me up in time. But got to be a little much. I was missing things with my kids. And I was thinking, what's the next transition in a career for somebody who's got this experience? I want to stay active in that communication piece, in the broadcasting piece, and the engaging with the audience or the listeners. What could I do? And I have a friend who was doing public information in the county in Loudoun County, and just was talking to him. And about 6 weeks later, I was starting at the police department as public information officer. It's been amazing. I miss radio every single day.
I'm sure you do.
But being a public information officer is a lot of the same skills from broadcasting, whether it's as a producer or a personality, really translate easily into public communications. So you still get to be creative and do fun social media things, or you can make fun videos, going out into the community and meeting people. But then also that really important piece of sometimes there's information that you've got to communicate that maybe you don't want to communicate, but you have to. And then dealing with some sensitive information. But it has been a great transition for me professionally. Absolutely love it. So I've been doing this now for over 8 years, and I just love it.
What a cool journey.
It's been amazing.
So was there a specific moment where you remember realizing that communication was for you, where you fell in love with it? Because, for example, I always wanted to be a teacher, and I have very few childhood memories, but I remember sitting on the floor at my grandfather's house and giving him spelling tests and grading them.
Oh, my gosh.
It really started early. Mm-hmm. He always got 100%, of course.
Of course he did.
But I knew I wanted to be a teacher at that time, and that kind of kicked that off for me. But is there a specific memory that comes to mind of I want to communicate effectively and share this energy with people around me?
Yeah, so I think it was less about communicating things and more about giving that energy. Mm-hmm. I used to make my family sit down and watch me perform Saturday Night Live skits. And I'll be darned if they weren't, rolling on the floor. Maybe they were trying to appease me, but always needing to feel like I wanted to perform for people, not in a performance way, not, being an actress or being a singer or anything like that, but just engaging with people and making them smile and laugh and have a good time and connecting with them was just exciting and riveting to me. So I went to Broad Run High School, and we're the Spartans. And so I used to pretend like I was a cheerleader and be the Spartans cheerleader. The next year on Saturday Night Live was Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry being the Spartan cheerleaders, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's been in our living room for the past 5 years. That should be me.
Yeah.
But just always wanting to bring people joy and happy and feeling good has just been that. And then I combined that with my passion for sports. Mm-hmm. And so that's where that career path took me. But just always wanting to make people feel good and happy. And
it seems like it just comes so naturally for you, though. Thank you. The energy changes when you walk into a room. It really does.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm curious about the MC side of it, being our summit host. How long have you been MCing, and when did you really transition into being asked to do those sorts of things?
So in the years that I was in radio, that was part of the deal a lot. One of the shows that I worked with, nationally syndicated show, we would, do stage shows around the DC area and across the country. So always kind of being, now the personalities were the big hosts, but having to communicate with the people and doing that. And then at the radio at Wink FM, that was part of the deal, part of the gig, and things would come up, and being involved in Apple Blossom or events that we had, Little Black Dress Party and things like that. And then when I transitioned from the radio station into public information, those contacts that I had at those various places that I was regularly emceeing as Lisa Herndon from the Wink Wake Up Show, they just kept bringing me back. They were like, this is great. We want to continue with that. So that's worked out well for my various events, from Winchester to Tyson's Corner and everywhere in between. So.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm sure, the energy of the crowd has to fill that cup for you a little bit. Yes. I could see that. You see the impact that you're having. Mm-hmm. But I can't help but think with radio, that must be so difficult. When I started this podcast, I can't improv anything in life. Mm-hmm. So that's why I wanted to do it, is to get that practice of just talking on the fly and not being so obsessed with everything being perfectly outlined and all of that. But knowing that I couldn't see the people I was talking to and connect with them in the way I normally would if I'm doing a training and I'm in front of the room and I can really read their body language and know how I need to modify to better meet their needs. How do you, as a radio show host, connect with your listeners?
It's not easy. And I'll tell you, I've done air shifts where you're just a single jock in the studio talking to yourself and talking up records and giving away prizes and things. And that's hard. Having a co-host makes it so much easier. But I think that people listening on the radio, when they can't see you, they can feel your authenticity, right?
Yeah.
So they can feel and they can tell you and who you are. Now, do I play up some of my things on the air? Absolutely. Did Barry and I, being polar opposites, did I play up my end of things a little bit? Without a doubt. But that was part of the fun. So connecting with people would call in, and then you can have that opportunity to speak. Events. We were out at somewhere doing something all the time, and just being able to connect face to face with those people allowed us to better connect with them on the radio, because we knew, people that we're talking to. But really getting your authentic self out there and being genuine, I think that allows people to connect with you when they can't see you and you can't see them.
Yeah. Well, once you see them in person, I'm sure they're also giving you feedback,
yeah.
right? And they're saying, I love listening to your show because, and that kind of gives you an idea of, oh, I need to keep doing that. This feels right. We're getting good feedback about it. That makes sense. Did you say to me one time something about having a picture on a wall that you were talking to? Did I make that up in the studio? Maybe it was Barry Lee that said something sometime about a picture on a wall.
It was Barry Lee, picture on a wall. Yeah. Yeah, yes. To speak to, so you don't feel like you're talking to nobody. Yep.
Yeah, I could see that.
Who was your guest last week?
Oh, Tammy Swankowski said that. Oh, okay.
So Swanee worked with us.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So she's known Barry and worked with Barry for years.
There
and,
you go.
Yeah,
well, she was here last week. Her episode's dropping today.
She's awesome. Her whole family's awesome. And her dad and his kettle corn, he's amazing.
But now her son's getting into it.
Yes. I saw him at an event, actually, and I was like, oh, there they are. I wonder if Dickie Duvall's there. And it was the son. And then Tammy walks up, and we're like, hey, yeah,
That's
cool.
So
Wonderful
cool.
family.
Yeah.
They
well,
are.
what a cool connection.
Yeah.
Thanks for pulling all that together, Matt, because I was not connecting the dots there for a second.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So I'm sure it does take a lot of intentionality because there's a lot of noise out there. People are hearing from a lot of people all the time.
Oh, yes.
What do you think made your radio show stand out to people and people to really connect with you and Barry Lee?
I keep coming back to the authenticity, but, Barry Lee, for those that know him, there is nobody on the planet that's like Barry Lee. If he was sitting here, I 10 times become a better person just by being in his presence. So he had that built-in love, people love, and I think that we really played off of each other well. So, whether it was teaching him about selfies on his old iPhone 3 that he had when they were up to 10 at that point. I'm like, oh, bless your heart. Let me teach you how it's done. I think that the genuineness of it, gosh, Barry Lee, he's amazing.
He really does bring out the best of you.
Yes.
In no time at all.
Yes.
The moment that you're there.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about some people when they're just getting into a new role, sometimes I feel like they're trying to find themselves and who they should be in that organization. And they're not sure what their authentic self looks like in that moment. I feel like people like him really help you to see who your authentic self might be.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And he does. He makes you want to be a better person and your best version of you.
Yeah.
Anytime you're around him.
Yeah, so you think the listeners heard that?
Yes. And then just our genuine, true chemistry from day one. We're best buds to this day.
I was going to say.
I spoke to him yesterday. We text all the time, working on, Jana Chex has the 40th anniversary this year. So working on that, or, just talking about family and things. And yeah, is a true, genuine connection.
Yeah.
With somebody that I'm incredibly close to this day. I told him things I never told my sisters.
I'm sure it's a very unique relationship.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So I'm sure it felt like a really big shift from that to public information officer, though. Yeah. So how did you navigate that shift? Because one, to me, sounds really fun and you're engaging people, and the other, it's very serious, very formalized. What does that look like?
It was difficult on some levels. So when you walk into a police department, for example, and you've got sworn officers, and then you've got a non-sworn girl who's walking in and is like, I'm going to tell your story. This is what we're going to do. It took some time. So we had to kind of start slow, getting them warmed up to the fact that there was a non-sworn girl in this position who is going to be telling your story and is going to be trying to pull things from you that you're not comfortable sharing, or that maybe you don't want to be, out on social media or highlighted on the news or things like that. So it was a process. I was very, very fortunate. There, I'm just one of the guys, and I've been very, very lucky with the people that I work with. But getting to know them, getting out and working with the people, the patrol officers that are working on the streets, getting out to know them so they know me and what I'm about, and that I'm not just looking for a quick little story, that I genuinely care about what they're doing and them as people and who they are outside of being an officer. I want to tell those stories too. And we do get a little, sometimes they're not super willing to share, personal things about themselves out on social media or on the news and stuff. But it was about getting to know me first, and once they got comfortable with me, to be able to do these things, and to for them to trust me that I'm not going to make them look stupid. You're taking a picture. Oh, make sure you get my good side. I'm like, I got you. I'm not going to post anything that's going to embarrass you.
Yeah.
They can trust that I'm giving the media appropriate information. That I'm not giving details that I shouldn't, and things like that. So it was the personality process took a bit, not as long as going from radio where everybody is. Now, Barry Lee's a special case, but I came from guy talk radio and sports talk radio where everybody's crazy, right? And everybody's, whether it's a dark sense of humor or foul language, which we discussed earlier.
This is a very edited episode.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Heavily.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So to go from having experience in a situation like that, where I was, again, just one of the guys, to going into a police department where a lot of those same things exist. I remember the lieutenant who hired me was like, now listen, Lisa, police officers are different, okay? They've got really dark humor. I was like, sir, thank you. Thank you for wanting to protect me, but I got this. I was like, I'm good. So that part was fun, and an easy transition. But it took some time for some people. Some were quicker than others to be like, she knows what she's doing. She's good. I trust her. And some, still maybe trying to come around after 8 years. But we're working on it. It's always going to be an evolving thing where, new officers come in and, getting them to understand what I do and what I'm looking for them, because I want them to help me do my job in showcasing them too. So
yeah. How much do you think your actual education supported you in today's role? So thinking back to getting that degree, how has that supported you in what you're doing today?
Well, for how long ago it was, I can tell you that the video editing stuff that I'm looking at over here is completely different than the 2 VCR tapes that I used to have to put in and tune the dials and record. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot different. But I do have a VHS tape of me from school where, they gave us our equipment and we had a one-man band, a setup, and it was me at the playground in the neighborhood in Sterling where I grew up. And it was just terrible. I mean, it was just like me doing stand-ups, and I'm like, I'm Lisa Herndon, and, maybe it wasn't that bad, but I feel like it was bad. So the technology is so changing and ever evolving, but you do carry a lot of that. When I record commercials, I still do my 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, and then I give my countdown, make sure my voice is hitting. So I still remember things like that, and you remember how writing for broadcast is different than writing from print, and so those kinds of things. But writing for print, perfect background for having to write news releases. So it has helped, the technology piece. When you get up near 50, it's a little bit different, I know we've got some buddies that are all into it and they do great. I got to get better. at the technology.
But you were able to submit your form for this.
I did the job form. I did it.
We're so proud.
I was on my phone and I'm like, what? And I exited out to try and get my headshot to upload or my bio, and then it X'd out, and I was like, curses. And then I did it on the computer on the desktop the next day, and it was so sorry about that, but thank you. Yeah, I did good.
Yeah, I just called you out on it.
Yeah, you totally did. You totally did. And I'm here for it. That's cool. It's good.
Well, I mentioned that communication really is a challenge for a lot of the organizations that I work with, and for a lot of leaders in general, because everybody kind of needs a different style of communication depending on, when you meet them, you're constantly reading them. And how do I address Lisa differently than Barry, Lee, than Jay? Right. I want to just be me, right? And that authenticity is important. However, in a leadership role, sometimes we know we have to meet people where they are. So what do you think it takes to be a truly effective communicator?
Wow. Other than knowing yourself inside and out, which even as adults, we're still learning. We learn about our personality types and our learning styles and things like that, which you're well aware of. Knowing ourselves and how we are with certain types of people, I think is very, very important. Also, being able to read the room. I'm a different person when I go to, various events. If I'm emceeing an event at the mall where we've got dogs, I'm a different human being than I am at the Pink Ribbon Dinner for Valley Health, right? Yeah. It's a different, exactly what you're talking about being, different in different times. So knowing what's appropriate, I always say, you can take me to the White House or to a dive bar. Either way, I'm going to fit in, and it's still going to be my authentic, genuine self, but just knowing what's appropriate and what is, and knowing, feeling that energy from whom you're meeting at the first time, and what is appropriate and what communication style that you should go. But knowing yourself is the most important thing. Yeah,
I completely agree with that. And that emotional intelligence piece can be built. And so many times when people take a DISC assessment, it comes with emotional intelligence side too, and they see their emotional intelligence scores and it blows them away. They're like, ooh, I really need to work on this area. The great news is you can, but you have to put yourself in those difficult situations and practice reading the room and asking people for feedback of how you handled a situation. It's not easy to develop in that way.
No, nobody wants the feedback necessarily, or most people don't want the feedback too. They don't want to know what they could improve on or what they need to work on. But yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a process.
It is. And some people make it look easy. You make it look easy, but I'm sure there have been challenges along the way, right? I mean, has there been a specific time where you remember being on stage or in the spotlight where a situation occurred and you had to kind of pivot and navigate that, being in front of the mic?
So, thinking about all the events that I do and the various different types of events, I've been very fortunate that there hasn't been, big incidents or issues or medical emergencies that have come up. But what I like to do and what helps me with that is when I do an event and they give me run of show and they give me my notes and I'm there for 3 hours and they, the band schedule or the performer schedule or whatever it may be, I say, I got this. You have a whole event going on here. You go ahead and you take care of that. I've got the stage. I got it. So any of the guests that are coming in or any of the performers or things. And I think having that control, and these are people that I've done events for years now, right. Over 10 years. So they have learned that they can totally trust me to do that. And I think having a little bit of that control helps me to know what's going to happen and what's going on stage. So you run into things, where you have a laundry list of performers for a tree lighting and the one band runs 15 minutes longer. What are you going to do? Well, we're going to pivot and we're going to tell the dance people, I'm sorry that you've got your, little girls lined up in the winter. I'm so sorry. We're doing the best that we can. As soon as they're done, we'll get a quick turnaround and get you up there. So there are things like that, that happen. But, having the control over what's going on I think, because I do have to have control
Yeah.
over a lot of things. There's so much.
I can relate.
Yeah. It's kind of a problem. But having that helps me prevent things like that. It's not going to prevent somebody from passing out in the crowd or a medical emergency, or we've lost kids, of course, bring them up to the stage, keep them safe. And I'm doing the announcements and, parents of so-and-so come to the stage now. So little things happen, but I think being prepared helps prevent those things. So I pride myself on that. I got the stage. You do what you got to do with all your stuff. I got this.
A word that I keep hearing you say is trust. And some people don't trust easily. And you mentioned even, now in a police department that it's taking time for people to trust that, you're in their corner and you want to represent them well. Beyond being authentically you, how do you create trust with people? Whether it's a listener, whether it's someone you've just met.
Honesty. I think honesty and telling them like it is. I'm not, in my current role, there are things, sometimes I've got to say, hey, we can't do that, or we need to do this. And I think being honest, and you and I talked about that, being honest with people that we love, right?
Yes.
And it's the same in the professional space too. I want these people to know that they can trust me and have my chief say, hey, Lisa, what do you think about this? Does this look okay to put out to counsel publicly or whatever? I might want to change that, or you might want to rethink that, or what's going to happen if. So letting people know that you've got their back is, and just in time, to show them that, you got this, you've got them,
And that I mentioned calm at the beginning of the episode. I think that leads to calm, right?
Yes. Yeah.
If they can trust you, you've brought a level of calm to any event, to any situation.
Oh, for sure.
I think a big part of it too is probably just follow through. You're being honest, but when you say you're going to do something, that you follow through and do it, and you're consistent in the results that you can provide. And just thinking about leadership in general, if someone's trying to build trust, you need to consistently show up and do what you say you're going to do.
For sure.
So that stands out to me too. Okay, so I have to talk about the summit a little bit.
Yes,
because
please.
it's coming up.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to most about the summit?
I'm definitely looking forward to the 10 rounds of leadership.
Me too.
Oh my gosh, we're
I
going
have
to
to
step
figure out
into
what I'm
that
gonna
ring.
wear.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be so fun. Because, first of all, being in the ring, and I know this is more of a knockout, a boxing thing, but wrestling is life. So WWE is life. So ring gear, I got you.
Okay.
I got you. We'll go shopping.
All right.
Actually, it's probably going to be more like trunks in a tank, but I am excited for that. I'm excited to hear two different perspectives on. And I think what's cool, you mentioned how the leadership questions are coming from the people there in the audience.
Yeah.
So these aren't some just random, I Googled and people seem to have these issues. These are issues that the people in the audience want to discuss. So to hear the two different perspectives is going to be pretty cool. And the fact that the speakers are from all different, right? So we've got Jay Foreman talking about servant leadership, and then you've got marketing, technology, leadership. Like you've got all these different aspects of business that all go together to help every single person that's going to be in that room to grow professionally and then to grow their business. It's going to be so exciting. And that place, the Maryland Theater.
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh my gosh. It was stunning.
Yeah.
They have done an amazing job in the old theater inside itself, and then what they've redone. It's going to be a beautiful venue for an awesome day.
It really is. Did I tell you I already chose next year's date?
No.
I hope you'll come back because I already picked the date. It's October 7th.
I'm putting it on my calendar.
It will forever be the first Wednesday of October.
Putting it on my calendar. Probably not the best to do right now, but I will. I've got my phone here. I will put it on the calendar as soon as we're done. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
Great. I can't miss the opportunity to brag for a moment.
Yes.
So Jay and I did a practice run of 10 rounds with one of my clients. And I won.
Yeah, you did. Atta girl.
So it was the most stressful hour of my life. Yes, I am so competitive. You might not know this about me.
Oh my gosh, I'm learning so much.
We were trash talking the entire time.
Perfect.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just kind of comes with it. But it was a really close game, and it came right up to that last minute, and I won, and I was relieved, and I got the belt, and it felt great. But then I realized that what if I won in front of like this group of 35 and then he wins in front of 200? And I was like, ooh, I would have preferred to have won in the other setting.
Yeah, in front of 200 people. But that's okay because you've got the first one under your belt, so to speak.
See? Yeah,
and then you'll just have to have, a knockout, break the tie.
Yeah. Well, we've been working on that specific project for a couple of years, and we were trying to figure out how to roll it out. And it hit one day that I was like, this is it. At the summit, we debut this, and all of these organizations can experience it for themselves and choose to bring it back to their businesses. But that was the thing, was everybody in the room when we did the practice round, they were like, this applies to me and my role and what we're going through. And while people are registering, they're submitting these. So we're seeing patterns already, and what are people asking? What are their needs? So we can customize this entire summit around their needs. Everything I do, I like to be custom. I want it to really connect with the people in the room. So that's what I'm excited about.
It's going to be so fun. I can't wait. And so you have the belt, like you have a belt.
It's huge. It wraps around me like 8 times. We did an over the shoulder kind of deal.
And I can show you all the different ways that people hold their belts.
Yeah.
Because I've got that experience too. Not personal experience, but I watch enough on the TV to help you with. There's different ways.
Okay. Yeah. There's going to be a ring. There's going to be an actual ring.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We've had an awesome team to help us with sets and everything. So we've tried to be intentional at every level with this. Will there be issues along the way? I'm sure. I know it's not going to be perfect, but everybody's put their heart and soul into it. So I know we've given it our best. And people just need to show up.
Yeah.
Bring their teams.
I cannot wait. It's going to be so cool.
It's like registration closes in a few weeks. Like, it's almost here.
It's less than a month away.
It's less than a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to know what to wear. We were talking about I've got to think. I was thinking about it this morning as I was getting ready for this, thinking, all right, now that's the next thing. What am I going to wear?
There are so many decisions to be made. That's on the remaining tasks spreadsheet, is everybody to decide what to wear. I was hanging out with the guys this morning. We were going through our presentations, making sure that there's this nice common thread and we're giving people what they need. And Eric was like, I was thinking of wearing the pants that he had on today. Is that okay? I'm like, I'm the worst person to ask about what to wear. You're a grown man.
That was a grown man. That's right.
Yeah, I had to see. I self-censor now.
Well, I'm very proud of you. This has been very hard to self-censor.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I want to get back to a couple of segments that I always do throughout these episodes. One of them being Leadership Unscripted. So speaking of submissions from people, we get listener submissions of challenges that they're facing so that we can kind of unpack them as we're talking here. Not saying we're an expert on the topic that they submit. It's just like what would you do if you were in this situation, or what experience do you have in that area? So do you want to hear today's question? Let's work through it.
Okay.
Oh, we always give them a name, so it's anonymous. So who do you want this to be from today,
this is going to be from Betsy.
Okay, everybody chooses a girl. Betsy. All right, this is a submission from Betsy. Betsy says, I lead 2 shifts, and there's a lot of us versus them tension. How do I get both groups to see themselves as one team? Thank you, Betsy, for your submission. All right, Lisa, what do we do? Do you have any experience with this?
I do. I do have experience with this. And at first, I'm thinking of like an us versus them supervisor and subordinate thing. But we're talking about the shifts that are up against each other, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in the experience that I've seen from the top down, you're always going to get the best outcome and culture and progress that you want if it's coming from the top down. To have somebody in a leadership position that is effective now it can be one thing to be like, you guys are going to get along. That doesn't really prove to be fruitful. But demonstrating and being that example of we're all in it together, no matter what shift we are, no matter what rank we are, we're all in this together. I think that leadership from the top down really does trickle down and can create that positive culture.
Yeah. I was just thinking, if Betsy is in a position where she feels like she can't really impact leadership at the top and isn't a key decision maker, that could be a difficult situation to be in. So like, what could she do from that kind of seat? And so I thought of a situation that came up with a client where they were working on different shifts, and they decided that they would start trying to kind of have a crossover between shifts where they'd have representatives stay and talk about what went well during the shift, what challenges came up, and really like pass the baton in a more effective way than leaving a sheet of paper of, you know, these are all the places that we had issues here. Take it and run with it. Good luck to you. But to really pass the baton and feel like they're also asking for feedback of what could we do to set you up for success in the next shift. So I think just having open conversation about that and making sure everybody's working toward the common goal and understands that it isn't an us versus them. It's how can we make sure that each shift has what they need to be successful so that we don't have these bumps in the road. So I just think honest communication, bringing them together, maybe having crossed shift meetings, maybe once a month or something like that to get everybody on the same page. That's what pops into my mind.
So that's brilliant when you think about it in the way that we were speaking for your client in public service in public safety. That does exist, right? Where you have the overlapping shifts, and you'll have somebody from days come in and sit in evenings, roll call, and that really does provide that synergy of us all together, not just like, oh, well, we're out there looking for so-and-so. You guys got this. I'm out of here. You know, there's definitely, so I can see that being incredibly effective in any other situation, in a business setting of whatever it may be. So I love that you were able to bring that to them in something that isn't, you know, public safety related, where it's part of the culture of what you do. That's awesome.
It's so funny when you said that. It took me back. I actually got to sit in on one of those meetings with a municipality to hear that shift change from this crew to the next. And it took like an hour for the officers to kind of go through everything they experienced. This is what happened. Keep an eye out for this. I mean, it was... It took a lot of intentionality. I will say that. And so I think that should apply no matter if it's public safety or not. You should put the same level of effort into helping the next set of people get set up for success. So hopefully that's helpful, Betsy.
Yes, thank you, Betsy.
I'm anxious to see when somebody chooses a man. Apparently the men aren't reaching out with problems.
Can we say that was Bob? Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for that feedback. Okay, next up, leadership in the wild. I am curious, who have you seen out in the community leading effectively? Is someone standing out to you as a really strong communicator, making a real difference, and you just want to give them a shout out? What are you seeing?
I mean, of course, the first person that comes to mind is Barry Lee.
Oh, yeah.
He leads by example. He always puts others before self. And he, as we discussed, makes you want to be a better human. So that's the first thing. I mean, I've gushed over him. I could gush over him for hours. But I do think that Charles Harbaugh IV, look at everything he does. You know, executive director of a nonprofit, the mayor of his town, sitting on multiple boards of directors. And all he cares about is making sure that his clients and his residents are getting the best service and what they need. And it doesn't matter how tired he is or how much he has going on, but you see that on everything that he does publicly, that he cares. And, you know, I think of you know, Barry and Charles and so many other people who do so much. You know, I was working with Kim Stutzman earlier today for a fundraiser that we have for my brother-in-law who died. You know, she never met him, but here's somebody who we've got, all these connections, not just from Winchester area, but from Fairfax through soccer and through Radford University, just going out of her way to make sure that this is a successful fundraiser. And then all of the other nonprofits that she's creating things and events for. So you see people like that doing for others, and it just makes you want to be better, right? Mm-hmm. So the more better people that are out there, just leading by example guides other people in that direction. And it's impressive to see people like that in our community. And you don't always know that they're doing it because they're not always going to tell you. Mm-hmm. Like Kim, I didn't know she had all these different things going on and all these different events and fundraisers and organizations that she's working with. It's something that she does because she loves it and she believes it and wants to help. So people like that in not just a charitable way, but in a professional way, leading in business and creating new opportunities for people. And Barry Lee retiring from radio and then shifting gears and doing his podcast and still getting out there and hosting events and things like that. Just it's inspiring.
It is
what these people, are doing.
It is. I do want to say people should go back and listen to Charles's episode. Mm-hmm. I don't have any idea what number it is, but he was here, and it was a great episode. So people should catch that. But you're right. There are so many of those people in this community. I feel like this area is so unique. It probably is this way everywhere you go, but I like to believe that in this area, people really have a giving heart. And if you sit down and get to know them, that they're doing a lot behind the scenes to really impact other people's lives.
It really, I work in different, and you do get it wherever you are, but there's something special about this community where people will come together for just the greatest of things and just create amazing opportunities and afford, nonprofits things that they need. And it's just, this is a very special community when it comes to that. And I work and live in different communities, and it's a very special place. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'll share mine for this week. I actually brought a little visual support. So do you know what this is when you look at it? It's okay if you don't. I don't expect you to. This is Jay Foreman's home. And this is on a thank you card that he sent me, handwritten. Jay is so good about handwritten notes and reaching out to people in that way and very personalized. But I received this recently, and I'm not going to read the message, but I was like, wow, this is just so him, to take time in his day to really pause and think about other people and reach out in a way that people don't anymore. So it stood out to me. We were just talking about him earlier. I don't know how he does all that he does, like reading.
How do you find the time?
Like reading. He posted this week's book that he's focused on, and this is what I'm reading this week. And I'm like, man, goals. Every time I see that, I just want more time. I've said so many times, if I could just get paid to read all day,
you'd be good.
I'd be good. I just need somebody to
say, now it's time to read. Stop what you're doing. Let's read. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But isn't it cool?
Sweet. Yeah, very sweet touch. Very
little
personal.
Note. Yep. So I just want to acknowledge him. He's obviously been on here several times before, and people should know him at this point. If not, go back and listen to some of his episodes, and he's so amazing. And now at Laurel Ridge Community College, I just feel like I said to him the other day, I miss him. I don't get to see him as much.
Well, he's got a few things going on.
He's got a few things going on. He was like, did I see you last in 2024? I'm like, it feels like it. But he still tries to make everybody feel cared about and thought about. And so I just want to acknowledge him this week.
I love that. And making people feel important and cared about. And when it comes from a genuine place, we talked about authenticity, right?
Yeah.
And it comes through on things like that. And to make other people feel loved and cared about is it's a special trait.
It is special. Okay, so perfect segue into, I always do a branching out challenge at the end. What do we want to challenge our listeners to do based on what we talked about today? When it comes to effective communication and really connecting with people, what do you want our listeners to do?
I think we talked about knowing yourself, right? And part of that personal growth, honesty, and transparency and openness. When you communicate using honesty, being open and transparent, which can be scary for some people. Maybe they don't want to let people in, but even in a professional manner. But I think that makes for very effective communication in the long run, knowing yourself and being true to that.
Yeah, I think that's a great challenge, and can really help anyone, no matter where they are on their journey.
Yeah.
Because we can all take some more time to reflect on who we are and how we can better ourselves.
Or maybe not. No. Of course. Yeah, because we're always changing. We're always growing. We always want to become a better version of ourselves, and that's what we strive to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that challenge. So is there anything that you wanted to share today that you didn't get the chance to? That you were like just on the edge of your seat?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm really grateful of the opportunity to come and talk with you. So looking forward to the Tri-State Leadership Summit. That's going to be an amazing day. But I think it's cool for people, who look at public communicators, whether it's a municipality, fire department, police department, federal agency or whatever, that they're having to work. I mean, it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. You've got to balance the information of what you're putting out there. So usually when they don't say something it's because they can't. Like there's a safety issue or things like that. Just to recognize the lowly public safety or public government communicators. It's not easy, especially in the social media world where everybody's doing something different and fun and unique. And if you're a one-person department or unit and you're having to write and having to have meetings and do social media and do weekly reports, like it's a little tough. It's not an easy job, but people who are in it love it and are passionate about it. I just got back from a week-long conference with my colleagues from around the country, and they are some of the closest friends I have. And one girl's in Virginia, but they're not physically close, and we talk every day. So the people who are doing public information and public communications and crisis communications for government agencies, it's a tough job. And it takes somebody.
I can't even imagine. I look at some of the things that come out, and I might have a little too much empathy sometimes. It's a little overkill. Matt will state that. But I often think about the person writing that, and you see all of these critical comments on social media, right?
Oh, yes.
And to me, I try to presume positive intentions and the amount of thought that went into that post and why it was framed the way it was. And it wasn't just something thrown together. So I like that you're acknowledging this, because we do need to slow down and think about there's a person behind this and they've given that their best. And you're being presented with that specific information for a reason. Right. So let's be a little less critical.
That would be great. I did a fun, happy, silly post one time, and somebody was like, "Oh, you're former radio DJ, PIO. This is all, people get very critical. Or, you need to make sure you stop at stop signs. Well, address the speeding. Okay, people, we're doing our best. Like we're out there just trying to share info and make you smile. So it's a tough job.
That's a good shout out. Yeah. Well, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
In our community and beyond. I really appreciate you. Thanks for your willingness to support us with the summit.
Oh,
can't wait. And thank you guys for sticking through to the end of the episode. I hope you found value. If you did, share it with others so that they can learn a little bit more about effective communication and Lisa Herndon and all she brings to the table. If you would like to submit an idea of a topic for us, or if you have a question, a challenge that you'd like us to help you through, you can shoot an email over to info@branchingoutpodcast.com. If you want to be a guest, you can go to branchingoutpodcast.com and consider joining us. Every week on Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time, another episode is dropped, so be sure to subscribe so you get those notifications. And until next time, keep branching out.